Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth part of the video where we write music, and in this lecture we'll be using the supertonic chord or the supertonic degree. And you should all know by now that the supertonic degree is basically the second chord in the scale, or the second degree of the scale. And in the case of C major, it's a C minor. Hold on, let me do this real quick. The supertonic degree is the second degree of the scale. I'll have it up here. Yep, that's it. And again, in the case of C major scale, which what we'll be using, it's basically a D minor chord. The second degree of the major scale is always a minor. Again, all of this information is available in my previous videos, on my music basics videos. You should see it, you should know by now. Okay, so we're gonna start with the C note. Again, we'll start writing the chords on the bass because it's easier this way. Then we'll either have an inverted G or an F chord. Then we'll have the D, again the D minor chord, and then a G, and then a C. So that's one progression. We have a C, which because it's the tonic, so we must start with a C. And that would be a C chord, C major chord, and now we're gonna have, let's do an F actually. Yeah, an F. Let's keep the C and move those two each a step. That would be an F chord. So what I did here is basically the C went down a perfect fifth to the F, and the upper C stayed, and the E and the G each went up a step, which is how we train people basically to write music, where most notes, like you keep the notes that you can keep in the same place, you keep it the same place, and you just move what you have to move. Now we'll have it do a D minor chord, which you'll see it's basically the same thing, where the F and the A stayed and only the C went up a step. That's a D minor, where the C went up a step to D, and the F went down a third to the D. Again, it's a D minor, so we need to have a D in the tonic. But the bass can move more freely than the upper notes because of the harmonic series because of the overtones. I'll explain what's overtone in a later video. But for now, we'll have a G, of course, because we need an authentic cadence. It won't be perfect, but it's an authentic cadence. Let's do, and finally the B, as you know, have to go to C. The D doesn't have to go to E, but let's make it go to E, and a G stays. So that would be a G chord, and that would be a C chord, C major chord. So what happened here is, again, between the D minor and the G, they don't have anything in common, so we have to move all the notes. Again, unless okay, so when you use seventh chord, septachords, basically you can move to C because then you have the C in common, and the G, if you use the dominant chord, which I'll cover in a later video. Also the seventh chord itself I'll cover in a later video, but for now I'm gonna cover only the dominant chord in the near future. you'll have an F which is related to the D minor chord. Again, that's all in a later video. But what happened, basically everything had to move because the D minor and the G have nothing in common. But that also changes the harmony of the song, which again, it's classical music 101. And again, with the G and the C also have nothing in common. So, but the progression from B to C, the leading tone is what we need, and from G to F is basically in the harmonic series. Again, something I'll explain in a later video, and only the G is in common. So, and those go up step, this goes up a perfect fourth, and we'll get this. It sounds really good. It sounds very basic. It's basically, again, classical music 101, but we can make it even better by having the tonic be the highest note. I think it will sound better at least. Let's see. Yeah, I like that better. Let's see what happens if we keep the C down here. It gives a little more effect because the C goes down an octave. The octave, again, it's a perfect cadence, a perfect consonant, so it always sounds great in harmonic and in melodic tendencies. Let's see what else we can do. Actually, I think I'll keep the C up in the sopran. You should already know what sopran is, but if you don't, I'll explain really quick. The lowest pitch is always a bass. The second lowest is a tenor. The second highest is an alto, and the highest pitch is a sopran. But again, it's usually decided by singer range. But in this case, it is basically basically the order of the notes, which is higher. I like the C and the F and the D minor and the G and the C. I like those. Very classical, a little more uplifting because again the tonic is up high, and when the tonic is high, you get the tonic gets more sense of the melody. So what we'll do is, what would happen if we'll have an A instead? Example, like have a inverted F chord. Oh my god, this might sound horrible, but we'll try. Let's see, because it's not an open chord anymore. Actually, is it an open chord? Nope, it's not. Wait, it's an octave. So yes, it is an open chord. Okay, again, I'll explain open and closed chords in a later video, but this is a sixth chord. Let's see. Yep, it sounds horrible because the E jumped way down. Also, it jumped a dissonance. This would sound goddamn very horrible. Yep, let's do this instead. Yeah, don't jump a dissonance ever. I mean, it's worth a try, but if you're not in a melodic context, it's harder to solve it. Have a harmonic solution for the dissonance. Again, this should all be explained. If not, you can ask me to explain it again. I can do that. But yeah, best thing you can do is not to play a lot and to keep it like this. Nope, F, regular F. So yeah, that's the supertonic degree.